So what happens when we go to war? Well, I'll tell you what happens when we go to war. We start having shootings like this, done by Muslim extremists, done by leftists. And what happens? The president says we are clamping down. We're getting these guns off the street because everybody else that has any kind of common sense has already done it. And you know that's the answer. And I'm just going to take the steps to do it to protect the American people because we're at war. And that is where he is headed.
Yeah, that's what he's setting up here.
That's what he's setting up.
And yet here in the United States, after the round-of-clock coverage on cable news, after the heartbreaking interviews with families,
What a
after
liar.
all the speeches and all the punditry and all the commentary, nothing happens.
Right.
We must insist here today there is nothing normal about innocent men and women being gunned down where they work.
Okay, stop for just a second. Jeffy, will you admit there's nothing normal about being gunned down at work?
Yes, there's nothing normal about that.
We have to admit this. Pat, will you admit that there's nothing normal about being gunned down at work?
Yes,
would
I
you,
will.
Stu, would you agree that there's nothing normal?
No, I will not
won't?
agree with that.
Stu,
I
you're a hard-
absolutely will
Oh,
not
no.
admit that it's not normal to be gunned down at work.
You horrible
No,
person.
I'm taking a stand.
my
I'm one of
God.
the ones in the way. I'm an obstructionist GOP member who's denying that it's normal to be gunned down. And forget it. I want people to say once and for all, it's normal to be shot at work. There you go. There's your straw man, Mr. President. Now you have one. Now you have someone who actually said what you say people say all the
how
time.
ridiculous is this?
Ugh,
we have to
pathetic.
finally admit. Well, first of all, just statistically, it's not even close to being normal.
No.
Nobody
Even here.
accepts that.
Yeah.
It's not happening. It's not normal. We know it. There are certain trends that happen, and we can look at those. ARs are not part of that trend. If you look at the stats on rifles and ARs, how many are actually used in violent shooting? What is it, point?
It's rifles are used without murdering someone in at least 99.997% of all cases.
So it's 0.003%?
Yeah, and it's 1 out of 354,000 rifles is used.
Okay, so that's all rifles. That's just not,
not just
that's just not
AR-15s.
AR, which is just a style. That's all that is the way it looks. You can go and you can have them made of carbon, and you can have them pink. It's just the way it looks. That's it. So we're talking about rifles. So it's 0.003% of all murders are happening with a rifle.
That's as high as it can be, by the way. That's an argument. It's actually lower than that, surely.
I mean, that is insane.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, I would say that statistically speaking, 0.003% of all murders is not normal. You're right. It's not. And I wish you would finally admit that.
There's nothing normal about our children being gunned down in their classrooms.
We agree
again.
with that.
There's nothing normal about children dying in our streets from stray bullets.
Oh, my gosh.
No other advanced nation endures this kind of violence.
Stop.
None.
No other advanced nation endures this kind of violence. None. Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many issues with that. First of all, he's defining advanced in... And the only countries he's counting as advanced are the ones that do better than us in these statistics.
Well, of course.
Of course. And secondly, because there's plenty of countries, hundreds of countries that do worse, over 100 countries that do worse, but he's just counting none of those as advanced. The other part of that is he's not, when he says this type of violence, well, I mean, I don't know what that means. What do you mean this kind of violence?
Mass shootings.
I mean, really?
4 or more? I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you say that Israel is an advanced nation?
Yeah, I would.
Would you say that?
Because, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, they get hit with rockets. So, yeah, I guess this type of violence...
And blown up on buses.
Yeah, is that better?
You know what Israel should do? Israel should ban bombs.
That's a good idea.
Israel should ban
Why they
bombs.
haven't
They should
thought
have
of that?
thought of
You
that.
shouldn't
Man.
be able to... Listen to this.
So
Listen to how
stupid.
easy. My gosh, I never thought of this. If Israel would just pass a law to make it illegal for a citizen to go into
or non-citizen.
Or non-citizen, just to go into a rocket store and go to think of this. They have these rocket get-togethers on the weekends where you can just go into this just a field where they've just set up all these rocket stands.
Like a rocket show?
Yeah, and you could just go and exactly, you been? So you just go and you can just buy a rocket without any kind of background check. If they would just ban bombs and rockets and close the rocket show loophole in Israel, it would be fine.
That's the thing. That's the thing. They haven't, though. They don't do that because there's an obstructionist party over there that gets in the way. They won't even admit that getting hit by a rocket isn't normal.
I know.
It's the Likud party. They're to blame.
Here in America, the murder rate is 3 times what it is in other developed nations.
In other developed nations.
The murder rate with guns is 10 times what it is in other developed nations.
Other developed nations.
That is the biggest asterisk.
Yeah. It's the
we
country.
cover all of this. We cover all of this in the book Control. We cover all of this.
It comes about because of decisions we make or fail to make. I've said before.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Here he goes.
We cannot stop every act of senseless violence.
But here's the thing.
But here's
We
the
cannot
thing.
know every evil that lurks in
No,
troubled
we
minds.
can't.
But
Because
again,
we can't even. Hang on, stop for a second. We can't even know the evil that lurks in his heart.
Right.
We can't even figure that one out. With all the stuff that's going on and all the transformation talk, we can't even figure out the evil that lurks in that man's heart. How are we going to figure it out from everybody else?
But if we can prevent even one tragedy,
Just
like
one.
this,
If we can
just
prevent
one.
even one,
Just one.
isn't it worth it to
Can I tell you something?
throw the
Can I tell
Constitution
you-
into the fire?
Do you know the most dangerous appliance in everybody's home? Most
gonna
dangerous
say-
appliance in everybody's home. You know this. I've said this before. You don't remember this? This is because it's such an amazing stat. The dishwasher.
Oh, yeah.
Because people put their forks and their knives and they point them up instead of pointing down. And so people will fall on their dishwasher and they'll be stabbed to death. Okay? The most dangerous appliance in your home is the dishwasher. Let me tell you something, America.
Bannon.
If we can just stop one senseless dishwasher death a year, just one.
Isn't it worth it?
Isn't it worth it?
To just wash your own dishes?
Wash your own dishes.
How hard is it to just wash your own dishes?
Just wash your own dishes.
So it's such a bad. If
my
you can
gosh.
prevent one, is such a bad argument that no adult should ever make. And the fact that
he
they
makes
let
it
this
all the
guy,
time.
they
All
let
the
him get
time.
away with this. This
If
is
we
an
could just
insane argument.
Stop just once.